Welcome to the Inside Startup Investing Podcast powered by King's Crowd. As always, I'm your host, Chris Lustrino. From discussions with founders and VCs to industry experts and special guests, we want to provide you with the inside scoop on all things startup investing. Whether you're investing $50 a deal or $500,000 a deal, we have the stories you need to hear before clicking invest. From the metaverse to spaceflight and beyond, join us as we explore the world of startup investing for all. And now, on to this week's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Inside Startup Investing Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Chris Lustrino, and today we are joined by Anna Gudmundson, who is the co-founder and CEO of a company called Sensate. Now, this is actually a company that's perfect to discuss here in the new year, because I know we all have our, all the things we're trying to work on in 2023, right, and make ourselves better people. And stress is probably a big component of something you're trying to manage or figure out how to manage better. And this is a company that is trying to help folks manage their stress in a really unique and interesting way that I've never heard of before. So we are going to dive in here. And Anna, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to learn more about your company.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Anna, tell us a little bit about yourself. And then, of course, I'd love for you to explain a little bit about what Sensate actually is and how it works.
Yeah, great. So who am I? I have a technology background. So I've only worked in exponential technology fields, which is, I guess, sort of unique. Very early in mobile, very early in mobile marketing, big data. So a lot of seem to gravitate towards very exponentially growing markets. And I'm actually, in that again, the whole wellness tech and mental wellness technology field is exponentially growing, both in terms of investments into the market, but also products and growth in consumer spend. So I love solving enormous problems with technology. I really believe that technology is just an accelerator, and we can use it for good or we can use it for bad. It's just sort of a magnifier. I'm from Sweden originally. I've lived in 6 countries, speak 4 languages. Huge passion for human evolution and macro positive impact. And Sensate, which I have the pleasure to be co-founder and CEO of, is a product that originates out of a clinic, really. It's my co-founder, Stefan Schmelik, who ran a very prominent integrated healthcare clinic in Holly Street in London, where I used to live. And he treated the top specialists treated tens of thousands of people with very complex health conditions, and really realized that calming the nervous system is extremely important for health. When we trigger the stress response, we switch off the immune system. And so what Sensate does, it's a consumer product. Everyone can buy it online, and you put a device on your sternum and you put your own headphones on and you start a session in an app. And then you'll feel like a purring through the little device that sits on the sternum. And that's actually infrasonic frequency. And then there's harmonized sound, which sounds like music, that also has a calming effect. And so that's like one session, one piece. The sessions are between 10 and 30 minutes. So we have many, many users now that use this. And it's really targeted for people who struggle with stress and anxiety, but who don't really know how to meditate or find it really difficult to get a regular meditation practice. And that happens to be quite a large percentage of the population. So people know that it's unhealthy to continuously have activated stress response, and we can talk more about what that actually does to the body, but find it difficult. And especially if we're really overwhelmed, it can be hard to calm down. And so I was absolutely blown away when I was introduced to Stefan to see how this is actually something that people manage to keep using at home, because it's very, very difficult to get behavioral change in this area. And so I only joined as a co-founder actually when I'd been an advisor and a board director, and had a chance to see that this product could really have a global impact.
That's really, really interesting. I have to ask, because, and I'm sure many people think this, and not in a negative way, but just in a reality of there's so many devices out there. There's so many claims about things that can be done. So how does this actually work? Because it almost sounds like a gimmick, like it's too good to be true. Like it could help, calm you down and manage your stress. How does the device actually work?
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, like someone called it like it's surprisingly and unsurprisingly effective. So it's actually just tapping into the body's own so-called technology, because the chest area is built to create a resonance field, and for thousands of years, yogis and Buddhist monks and so on have been trying to get low frequency vibration into the chest area through umming. So in yoga, go om, yeah. So if we learn how to do that properly, you feel at the center of your chest a very special type of vibration. And because I'm a geek on this area as well as on technology, I've practiced this a lot as well. And I did group arming for an hour, and you feel euphoric afterwards. So this is not magic. It's the vagus nerve, which goes straight through here. Ancient traditions have known about this for a long time. There is no news that the vagus nerve controls the stress response, and that good vagal nerve means good resiliency and good stress resiliency. And that's how we use it. The vagus nerve also has a lot of other benefits and medical benefits. We have medical vagus nerve stimulators, typically electrical stimulation, and it's connected to all the organs in the body, the gut, etc. But we're not a medical product. We're really just focusing on this calming and relaxing effect that creating a resonance field in the chest area has.
So it's a naturally occurring thing in your body. If you know how to kind of manage it, you could do it on your own. But for most of us, we have no idea about it whatsoever. And this is a device that essentially helps activate and do a process that is natural within us. Is that?
Yeah, very, very good. And the point is, like, we're both Stefan and I, we do meditation, we meditate, I do a
Mhm.
lot of breath work. What we deeply both care about is the fact that it's not accessible for everyone. So we're not advocating do this instead of existing practices. The truth is, the vast majority of the population is not learning how to and sitting and doing that in an hour a day. They're finding it extremely difficult to implement regular meditation practices, although they know the benefit. They might establish occasional breath. All these things are great. Breath work is great. Meditation is fantastic. And so what blew me away was having looked at a lot of usage data where, a lot of the meditation apps and so on, it's single digit retention. It's a small percentage of people that really establish long-term practices and have that behavioral change, which is where, I've spent a lot of past career time in. And so to see that just from the device, we're not poking people to use it, well, it's device and sound, right? We're not pushing people to use it. It just works, and that's why people keep using it. And that for me is the solution to the problem, because a product or a practice that is very effective but people don't do has zero impact. If you're not
Still doesn't
doing
work.
it, it has no impact.
Not
Yeah.
helpful. In terms of that retention, one, I would love to hear what the level of retention has been. How many times you see people using it over what period of time. And then the other interesting thing that I'd really love to learn more about is some of the feedback that you've gotten in success cases where it's been really helpful for folks.
Okay, so I actually started to get interested when we got the first 900 products to market in 2019. And I've looked at so much usage data, and I actually went back to the developers and said, hey guys, there's something wrong with the usage data, because it's kind of 10x what it should be. So that was embarrassingly arrogant comment, but I really thought there was something wrong with the usage data, but it wasn't. And then also just seeing the number of spontaneous testimonials. So this was at a time where we were not trying to get any testimonials. We just sold the product, and people would go online and find a way to contact Stefan and say, like, this product has really changed my life. So in terms of what type of testimonials, and I'll get to the usage numbers, we actually get a lot of also medically related, because healing the autonomic nervous system and stop triggering the stress response is extremely important for recovering from a lot of things like chronic disease and IBS and those kind of things. We don't post too much about that because we're not a medical device, and we don't really want to be, even though it's not us saying it, like we want to, but that there, we have a lot of people that really struggled with that particular part of their recovery. But otherwise, it's I've been struggling with stress and anxiety for many years. I know I should be meditating. I just haven't been able to. I got this product. I could really feel my heart rate going down and I could relax. Thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. But so those are the very, very common ones and really beautiful things. People that have had also severe stress and trauma and PTSD that, has been able to do things that they weren't previously able to do. So that is a lot of really, really heartwarming feedback. And also around sleep. So 25% of our users use the product for sleeping. So that's interesting. We're going to have to probably look more into that segment, but a lot of people find it extremely good to fall asleep and also fall back asleep. Some people use it for sleep improvements, like increasing HRV during sleep and things like that. But yeah, so how does it look? They're kind of more or less, we have the frequent users that use the product on an ongoing basis, either for general improvement. So it's this kind of, I use it regularly because I want to improve XYZ. But the vast majority of people use it on a needs base. So it's more like, okay, I'm feeling completely overwhelmed right now, and I'm going to go and do a Sensate session. And that's really wonderful because that's, having something that works when people are in that state, because that's also when we make bad decisions or lash out at people or, whatnot. So the vast majority is that 46% of our active user base is frequent users. So that means that they use it several times a week or several times a day. So, average out sort of daily. And then we have also a lot of users that in any normal product context would churn, but they're back. And that's because stress is a guaranteed part of life. So even if we happen to have a few weeks where, nothing is happening, like stress is part of life. So it really isn't about eliminating stress from our life, it's learning to manage it. We want to challenge ourselves. We want to be out of our comfort zone. And, we're always going to end up having stressful situations. So really the aim there is to have ways to manage it.
Yeah, absolutely. And stress is certainly always a part of life and something that will continue to recur. So it's a nice recurring business, which kind of leads me into my next question, which is you've sold the device, but you are moving into a model. I would imagine it's a little bit like the app Calm, where you're building in a recurring model that you can pay a subscription fee for. Can you tell us what types of features and value add you get out of the subscription that you're creating?
Of course. Yeah, we're just actually rolling that out cohort by cohort. So the Plus, which is a premium subscription, which means that it's an add-on, so it's optional. We will leave the free content free. That's not changing. So anyone who's got a product will still have everything they have. But for our frequent user base, they want more variety. So of the sessions, right? So there's certain sound or sessions that kind of, as I said, it's a composition. So it sounds like music, but using specific frequencies that are harmonized with infrasonic frequencies. So the by far most requested feature is to get that. So anyone who signs up will regularly get new of those compositions, and they take a little bit of time to make because there's obviously some science that goes into that. And so that is the most important part. Then we're building out a lot more around just supporting our key conditions, and those features will come over time, and we're actually going to work with our users now to really learn what they want. And that's a nice thing when you're not pushed to revenue. You see what I mean? Like we have a product that really works for people. So now instead we have an ability to really build some value add and really understand how everyone's using the product, what they're looking for, how we can support better. So modules around their specific needs is the next thing that we're building out.
Very cool. For investors, what are the unit economics? How much do you charge per device? How much does it cost to produce?
Yeah, I think, for detailed unit economics, we kind of do one-on-one calls typically, but the product is $299 on our website. We also sell, so getsensate.com. We also sell on Amazon US and Amazon UK. The premium subscription will be $49.99 per annual and $7.99 per month to start with. As I said, we're going to build out a whole lot more value. So obviously we're raising money, so we're not yet profitable, but we actually have gross margins over 50%. We're still manufacturing with our sort of boutique manufacturer. So when we get to really big scales, the manufacturing cost comes down as well. And even just the way we're growing right now, which is really rapid growth, the unit economics get better and better, obviously with volume. So very typical tech company with both hardware and software. The economics get really attractive with scale, and we will raise one more round after this. So that will be a Series A, and after that we will be able to get to profitability. So then it will be a strategic decision if we wanted to raise more money.
So $299 per device. I'm curious what your thoughts are on kind of addressable market opportunity. Obviously, at a higher price point, there can be more limitations on how large the opportunity is. But how do you think about that in terms of market opportunity you can go after?
Yeah, so we are going to introduce very soon as well a sort of monthly payment for the device. So that will be helpful for people that want it. I think what we're seeing is that the question is less about the $299. It's not a like. Of course, I'm aware that there's a lot of people that will find that a stretch. However, if it actually works for you,
sure,
it's worth it. And I think that's what we're seeing, that people, even for them, it had been quite a big investment. They do not regret it for a second. So that's kind of like, if you look at going to therapy or, other solutions, and also just like consequences on your life. I think it's especially if we, when we have the monthly payment, so people can break that up if it's sort of a cash issue for people. And then if we look at just other, hardware devices, I mean, I've got the Aura Ring, it costs more. And so, we're not over, that type of hardware market price wise. But we do really, we know that there's so many people that need this product. So we are considering that, and we are considering, what direction we take the product over time. Some of our users want more features. It would push the price point up, and others don't. So it's possible that we will have more products, at some point. But we're definitely now very, very focused on bringing the current product to the market and also evolving a little bit the services around it.
I'm curious, do you have, in terms of kind of selling to consumers, is it just direct to consumer? Do you have partnerships? I was actually kind of thinking when you mentioned therapy, like, would therapists ever recommend this? Is that something where it's like almost like when you go to your doctor, your professional that you're going to, they might say, hey, this is a useful thing that could be part of your kind of treatment journey? Or is it just direct consumer and that's kind of the plan going forward?
It has been the plan to date. So I'm very early stage. I think focus is everything. So it's getting data as quick as possible, so you're not barking down the wrong path, but just validating that you can make money in a channel, and then being really focused. You got always a scarcity of resources, time, spend, whatnot. So, and also I find that, the direct to consumer channel, if you can make that work, provides a lot of control and also data early on. So you have direct access to your customers. It's predictable because you get obviously all the economic data of it, as well as, usage data. So that's what we've been really focused on. We do have a few small partnerships, and they've actually all been inbound. So it's been people say, listen, I have an audience that's really interested in your product. Can we do something? And we sort of responded to that. And then I think this is also a really great tribute to the efficacy of the product. We actually have a bunch of clinics that have reached out and said exactly what you mentioned. I'm using this product with my patients. I find it the most effective in terms of, being part of their healing program or recovery program. Do you have an affiliate scheme? And initially I was even like, no distraction. Let's not do it. But then we actually had quite a few. So we set up an affiliate scheme, and it's really helpful because they know and understand the product, and they see that it works. Like, they work with actual people. Right. So it's not a marketing thing. It's really helping, where it needs to help.
Well, and, in thinking about it, right, I think when I'm trying to think about addressable market and market opportunities, something that I find really helpful is just thinking about proxies. And you bring up the Aura Ring. There's the company called, it's Whoop or Whoosh, that has done exceedingly well with athletes. Obviously, Calm, kind of went the B2B channel and has kind of blown up and done a really good job of. But the wellness category today with wearable devices is doing really, really well. And you're seeing companies be valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars, on occasion, north of $1 billion. But it's certainly a bigger opportunity than it's ever been before. So it's a really interesting category. As you kind of look to the future, do you see this continuing to be kind of a true standalone business and product? Do you see this as an acquisition target for one of those larger wellness companies who's just a little further down the road? How do you think about that?
Yeah, again, like I'm going back to having always worked in exponential fields that you have very little historical data to look at in anything, right? So, but you can look at other exponential growth. So, if we even like, fitness industries didn't exist a few decades ago, hard to believe, and now it's ubiquitous. Everyone is aware of fitness and nutrition. It's part of our lives, and I think what was already happening, but really accelerated with the pandemic, I don't think there's a way back. It is like something that has been ignored just as we changed a lot of ways of being and working, which meant that we didn't get enough movement. And all of a sudden everyone was getting obese. And then all of a sudden we had to introduce all these fitness practices. We have now a lot of unwellness in the mental emotional space. And that is here to stay. And it's accelerating really fast. Then, yes, we do see big tech investing a lot in wellness right now. We also, if you look at this other mega sectors, it's going to cost a lot for healthcare and health insurance and all of that over time. And this problem cannot be solved institutionally. It has to be solved by self-regulation. So there's going to be a search for products that actually work for people to self-regulate at home. And so, clearly that is going to be, I think Sensate's going to be on the radar there for a lot of opportunities as well. So I think what we want to make sure, and we're like Stefan and I and the team are extremely mission driven, we certainly want to make sure that there's a financial return for our investors. We're very committed to that, especially our early investors. We are extremely passionate about the crowdfunding and getting actually also more diversity on our cap table. It's very important to us, and we are definitely planning for making sure that there is a great return. And apart from that is very much mapping. So mapping what's happening in the industry, looking at other M&A that is happening. And it's obviously not something in the coming year, but we're keeping on track of the trends.
You've raised over $1 million in your current round of funding on WeFunder. For those who are interested, you can find them on WeFunder through the month of January. If folks are interested, I'd be curious to hear what is kind of the plan for funds raised, how is that going to be applied, and where does that take you?
Yeah, we're very close to closing the round, so hurry up. We're almost at 2 million. So WeFunder.com/Sensate. This funding will get us through to the next round. We're actually at a position where our growth is supporting a lot of our costs. So we have pretty good way of stretching our runway where we need to. But really what we want to do here is marketing and communication is an important part, so we get the product out. We do have great over 30% word of mouth already, but most people don't know about the product. So it's important that people know that this product exists. Then about 25% into R&D. Some of that is going to be product evolution, but then as I mentioned, the plus and just the app and the subscription is important, and to kind of support a little more there. It's very, very basic to date. And then just some working capital as well to support our growth.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure learning about your business. I think it's really exciting. As we already mentioned, they're almost at $2 million raised, and we'll be closing the round soon. It's a really interesting company, certainly one in a large category with really solid traction, a terrific founding team. So it's been an absolute pleasure getting to chat with you today. Thank you so very much for your time, and thank you all for listening. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Inside Startup Investing. Before you go, if you enjoyed the show, please give us a like or a positive review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And be sure to like and share our latest episodes. And if you like what you heard and want to learn more about how we can help you manage your startup investing search, diligence, and management at Kingscrowd, check us out at kingscrowd.com. Thanks, and until next time, happy investing.